السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال سيد الإمام الغزالي رحمه الله تعالى نفعنا الله به وبعلومه وبكم وبسائر المسلمين أجمعين. أيها الولد، ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك أمر، وبالأسحاب هم يستغفرون شكر، والمستغفرين بالأسحاب ذكر. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام: ثلاثة أصوات يحبها الله تعالى، صوت الذكر، وصوت الذي يقرأ القرآن، وصوت المستغفرين بالأسحاب. قال سفيان الثوري رحمة الله تعالى عليه: إن الله تبارك وتعالى خلق ريحا تهب بالأسحاب تحمل الأذكار والاستغفار إلى الملك الجبار. وقال أيضا: إذا كان أول الليل ينادي مناد من تحت العرش: ألا ليقوم العابدون، فيقومون يصلون ما شاء الله. ثم ينادي مناد من شطر الليل: ألا ليقوم القانتون، فيقومون يصلون إلى السحر. فإذا كان السحر نادى المنادي: ألا ليقوم المستغفرون، فيقومون ويستغفرون. فإذا طلع الفجر نادى مناد: ألا ليقوم الغافلون، فيقومون من فراشهم كالموتى نشيلوا من قبورهم.
Child, a verse, and spend a part of the night in worship as a voluntary devotion to your credit. This is an order in the verse, and in the early hours of dawn they pray for forgiveness. Speaks of gratitude in the verse, and who pray for forgiveness in the early hours of dawn is a reminder. He upon whom the Prophet said, there are three voices loved by Allah the Exalted: the voice of the rooster, the voice of the one who recites the Qur'an, and the voice of the one who asks for forgiveness before the break of dawn. Sufyan al-Thawri, may Allah be pleased with him, said, Allah, exalted is He, has created a wind that blows in the short hours of the night and carries the invocations and pleas for forgiveness to the owner of majesty. And He also said, in the first part of the night, a herald beneath the throne calls out, will the devout worshippers then not rise? So they rise and worship to the extent that Allah wishes. Then a herald calls out in the middle of the night, will the humble worshippers then not rise? So they rise and worship until shortly before the break of dawn. And shortly before the break of dawn, a herald calls out, will the seekers of forgiveness then not rise? So they rise and ask for forgiveness. Then at twilight, a herald calls out, will the heedless then not rise? So they rise from their beds like the dead who are raised from their graves.
And here Imam al-Ghazali again highlighted the importance of night prayer, and showed us, the graduation of it, and to what level, for sure. In my view, at least, the best among these people, those who spend the whole night, praying, which used to be the practice of the Prophet ﷺ in the Ashr al-Akhir, the last 10 nights, of Ramadan. Shahr Ramadan, he used to have such a behavior, So here, it tells us, about the different levels, of people, and as you may see, which is too important, that the lowest, in the scale of Imam al-Ghazali was those who wake up, for Fajr prayer, which in our time, we consider it as very significant and unique, action to have it, when you wake up for Fajr prayer, Whereas here, when you recite or read this paragraph, feel them as the lowest, or the worst, among those who were described by Imam Ghazali. Any question about this? Yes?
Can you comment on why the deek is beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the voice of the rooster?
And one hadith that whenever the rooster give voice, that's mean he observe an angel, okay? And another word, as if it sounded to me, I don't know how accurate, that as we said, before, the rooster is one of the friends, of the angels, I don't know how accurate is this, Those who work with jinn, they will ask you to slaughter, a rooster and bring it to them, black one, I have heard it many times. I did see it one time, one person, was carrying, a black rooster, slaughtered, and took him where, I don't know, to perform some. So here, it's a matter, of those who are allies to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and those who are against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are going to find among the humankind some of both. You are going to find among the animals. You are going to find among the mountains, and other objects, The Prophet ﷺ described mountain of Uhud as loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He describes the mountain Ayr as hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he hates Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see? Or hates the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see? Here I may not be able to give you very reasonable, and good explanation of this, but this is the reality, of the life that we live with, and most of these matters will get it, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Qur'an, or from His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes?
Barakallahu feek, Shaykh. We had mentioned the night vigil a few times now, and oftentimes many of us are in a situation where just stop the fajr is the minimum, that's the maximum we're doing. We're just praying 5 prayers, not even sunnah. How do we get to a level of, this is like, the night vigil seems like very far from us right now. Practically speaking, how do we achieve this in a step? I think about it like somebody who can, like, if you go to the gym, you can work out, some brother can bench press 250 pounds, but you can only bench press a barbell. Like, there's a program. You can't just take 250 pounds, falling your neck, right? In the same way, can you give us some advice on practically getting up to this level, from just basic 5 prayers to all the way to the night prayer?
Firstly, I am not the best experienced one, to answer this question. I'm sorry about this. Secondly, this question was answered before, I was asked, about, and I mentioned, a lot, about the main factor, of the electricity and the power that we have nowadays and how we waste our time. Thirdly, I pointed, when we have a very important appointment or interview with someone, how we are going to take care of it, And as I said, I may not be able to give you a common or general answer to this problem because everyone has his individual or his own problem, about these matters, But what I'm trying to say, all of us, including myself, when I had to give this question or this example, but once I did say it, back in Syria. If someone told you that if you are going to go to China and learn the Chinese language, they are going to give you $1 million, are you going to do it? Be honest with me. For sure, you are going to do it, The Prophet ﷺ, in some ahadith, he put it in this way. He said to Ahl al-Suffah, who were quite poor, anyone among you would like to go to Buthan, a valley, in Medina, to get a very good, and decent camel, without any sin done, or any hardship? They said, all of us, we would like to go there. He said, if you go and learn one verse of the Qur'an, one verse, Wadduha, okay, is much better than the camel. When you go to learn 2 verses, it's much better than 2 camels. He put it even according to the number, When he go to learn, few verses, it's much better than their number, of camels. What I'm trying to say. As a humankind, I know it from myself. I have some experience with the other. Whenever anything put in this mind, you are going to make it, you are going to fight against it, For many people, you are going even to change some of your lifestyle to achieve this, But should be important, If it's not that important, you are not going to change your lifestyle. You are not going, you see. And here, perhaps one of the main purpose or main matter that hang, behind it, you should have the importance of it, in your heart. Other questions? Yes?
Jazakallah khair.
Ayakum.
When the Imam differentiates between abidun, mustaghfirun, and qanitun, it's dependent on the third of the night. Do those people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first third until the Fajr time, or they sleep after the third? And the same thing for Anitun and Mustaqim.
I have the same question that you have. I may not have the answer to it, but I assume what is in my mind that they will stay up and awake till Fajr. This is my imagination of it. I don't have solid clue, about it. Other questions? Yes?
So if we take it as three categories, like the minimum for the night prayer, what's the hope, and like the average of most people that should do it, and then if somebody really goes to the high end, what's the maximum that we should not exceed or do?
For the minimum, the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَوْ فُوَاقَ نَاقَةٍ. Okay? Yani I don't work, to bring the milk, from the sheep or whatever, but I imagine that you have a minute or so, between one and the other, and this is fuwaq al-naqa, okay? And the Prophet ﷺ said, even if you have night prayer for this short period of time, okay? For the moderate one, I look at the prophetic tradition, as the most perfect one, to have 8 rak'ahs, besides witr, but they should be long, not quick, the way has been practiced, by some. Exaggerating, I was about to say there's no exaggeration, but there's exaggeration, because the Prophet ﷺ, when he entered his house, holy house, and he found a woman there, and she was described by Sayyidah Aisha that doesn't sleep overnight, and the Prophet ﷺ condemned this. He said, do whatever under your ability, or capability, of doing it. So here, the exaggeration of it, when you have something, you are going to exhaust yourself about it, or beyond your capability. And this is different from one person to another. I have an example about it in fasting, The Prophet ﷺ, many ahadith, he made it, almost prohibited, or not recommended, for many people to fast during their traveling, during the traveling period, of time. When Hamza ibn Amr al-Islami asked the Prophet ﷺ, he gave him the choice to either to fast or not fast, And this tells us that the Prophet ﷺ gave different answer to different setting or different position, among the people. So again, the least fuwaq naqa, the modern is going to be according to the prophetic tradition, and the exaggeration of it, or the highest limit, according to your capability or ability of it. Yes.
If somebody want to do the middle one, which is 8 rak'ah long, but he doesn't, he's not memorize the Qur'an, he doesn't have long Qur'an. What's the best way to do it long?
Memorize the Qur'an.
Until he memorizes it.
I hate this comment. Why? Because until he memorized, as if it sounded that he's never thought about memorizing the Qur'an. And this is, I don't like it, this comment, okay? I would like to see all of your audience, they work hard to memorize the Qur'an, okay? We should show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala some of our eagerness, to memorize the Qur'an. I love this hadith, even though it's considered as weak when, when whoever, pass away before memorize the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to send an angel to teach him Qur'an, in his grave, and is going to be joined in the hereafter to those people of Qur'an. I think those who are eligible to be given this, those who are eager, to memorize the Qur'an. When we feel relaxed, and we don't have a rush, in memorizing the Qur'an, then I don't like this attitude a lot. Other questions? Yes?
So would it be a start to wake up right before Fajr, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, pray 2 rak'ahs, and then pray Fajr right when it comes in and go to sleep? Would that be an acceptable way of starting?
Yes, I think it's a very good start, for those who miss night prayer, it's a very good start, just have it, done, a few minutes before Fajr, especially in the winter time.
And if you do, is it Salah specifically, or can you get up and read Qur'an for the same amount of time?
يعني, I cannot say all of the verses and the hadith, but most of them they spoke about night prayer, not night, dhikr or whatever. But this may be included, but I put the prayer, at the top of it.
And witr would count as those, if you did witr instead of two, you wake up, you pray witr, and then you pray fajr, that would count as night prayer as well?
Yeah, here we have some concern, because the nature of people, they differ a lot, Some of them, they may miswit, and I don't recommend to do as such, The others who are quite strong, they may do it.
So you would, if you're not sure you're going to wake up, you would pray witr before you go to sleep?
That's right, yes. Whenever you are not sure, pray witr before going to sleep.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes?
I don't know about here in Chicago, but in Minnesota, sometimes there's only about 4 or 5 hours between the Isha and Fajr. What would be a good way to manage that, to wake up for Qiyamul Layl?
As he said, just wake up, 5 minutes before Fajr time, and pray Fajr time. Yes. Other questions? Okay, move to another paragraph in over. أيها الولد روي في وصايا لقمان الحكيم لابنه أنه قال يا بني لا يكونن الديك أكيس منك ينادي بالأسحار وأنت نائم ولقد أحسن من قال شعرا لقد هتفت في جنح الليل حمامة على فنان وهنا وإني لنائم كذب وإني لنائم لقد هتفت. I did make it worse, but it's لقد هتفت في جنح ليل حمامة, not جنح الليل. لقد هتفت في جنح ليل حمامة على فنن وهنا وإني لنائم كذبت وبيت الله لو كنت عاشقا لما سبقتني بالبكاء الحمائم وأزعم أني هائم ذو صبابة لربي فلا أبكي وتبكي البهائم.
O child, it has been handed down that in his legacy to his son, Luqman the wise said, O son, let not the rooster be smarter than you, as he calls his Lord at pre-dawn while you are still asleep. How well spoke the poet who said, perched on a feeble twig, a dove cooed in the dead of night, while I was fast asleep and slumber was my plight. By God I lied, because if I had truly been in love, how could I be surpassed in wailing by the dove? I claim to be besides myself with ardent love of God, but beasts are shedding tears and my eyes shed them not.
You see how, again, emphasized the importance of night prayer, and he related to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? And this is really, I look at it, the matter of love is going to be good thing, to drive you to do many things, and that's why I would like to see all parents, they raise up their children, by building strongly, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of His Messenger, because these minor people, they are going to be exposed in their life to many storms, and they are quite dangerous storms, and I mean, many of them, they will be taken away, and the most and highly expected one not to be taken away, those who are real lover, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger. They may commit some sins, but they are going to return back quickly. And this is for the two questions that I have received, about the practical point, to achieve night prayer. I would like to put, I'm sorry, I forgot it, I would like to put the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as one of the factors, Yani, we practice it in our life. When someone is told that he has cancer or incurable disease, it's going to wake up, overnight and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's about when you have any other matter, or other need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, religious need, spiritual need, or when you feel, and this is, you may include it, in the needs, when you feel that you want to express your love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ta'ala, this is going to be again a good point, of stimulating, to wake up, and have night prayer, So here the love is one of the main factor, and this is mentioned in hadith. I don't know how strong is this hadith, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the night is going to say, those who declare that they love me, and whenever the night comes, they are going to go and sleep. They are real liar, They are liar. They don't love me, because the real lovers, of me, they are waking up, and they are speaking with me, and I speak with them, or something of that regard. This is mentioned in hadith. I don't know how strong is this particular hadith. So here again, I highlight these 2 points. Again, the author here highlighted the night prayer, and he highlighted the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how it's going to stimulate, or drive you to have the night prayer. Any question, about this? No question? Oh, you have question here. Okay.
As mothers, how do we balance between worrying about ourselves and worrying about our children?
About worrying about ourselves, okay. There's a term used, by Sayyidina Abu Madian. He said, "Man صح توكله في نفسه صح توكله في غيره." The one who is real strong, and his reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for himself, is going to have the same experience when it comes to someone else, And this is, for me, one of the excuse that has been abused, by many of us. I have complete reliance on Allah, but what's about my family, I want to feed my family. Okay, this is, according to Abu Madian, it's completely wrong. And this is when you want to build your relations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though it's mentioned about reliance, it's going to be mentioned for everything, in regard of your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, to go back to the answer of the question, I'm going to answer it, by this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the real, security, that you are going to have for the future of your children, not the security given, by those companies, or whatever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلْيَخْشَى الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُمْ insurance. I want to use the word insurance. And this is the real insurance, of your children, not to buy some policy for them or whatever, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلْيَخْشَى الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. If you have some concern, you worry about your children, what you should do? فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, be fearful or righteous to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا, be straight, on your speech, or whenever you speak, about in this life. And this is the insurance policy given to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I look at it, in all aspects of the life, whenever you are quite truthful, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to waste you. The Prophet said in hadith, I collected for this particular hadith more than 10 chains, which is according to Imam Suyuti may be considered as mutawatir. In Arabic, من جعل الهموم هما واحدا كفاه الله الهموم كلها وأتته دنيا راغمة ومن تشعبت به الهموم لم يبال الله بأي واد من أودية الدنيا هلك. That's mean that when all of us, we have a lot of interest, we have a lot of concern. When we unify all of those interests and concern in one concern, in some narration of that hadith, هم المعاد, okay, that's you are concerned about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you return to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to fulfill, and cover and complete all of the other concern that you have in your mind, and the dunya is going to come in a very humble way to you, to serve you. Whenever you have different concern, and you practice all of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no care, about such a person, and he may be vanished, in one of these valleys, of the dunya valleys. It's what was called a valley, not mountain. Why it was called a valley? Because as a humankind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored you by making all of these matters, to serve you. When you became servant, to some of these matters, you made everything up down. You went down to the valley. Why? Because the main stay in your life is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you give some preference, for something else, you have make the whole story, in the opposite way or upside down, And that's why the Prophet ﷺ described about this concern and humum that we have like valleys, like you are going down. Okay, so here what I'm trying to say, fix your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever you fix your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to fix for you all of other relations, all of other duties, all of other matters. To be honest with you, I have this experience in myself, okay? Whenever I try to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the others that I expect to criticize me or condemn me, they are going to praise me, When I try to do it in a different way, you may have different, attitude from these people. And this is what has been mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ. من أرضى الناس بسخط الله سخط الله عليه وأسخط عليه الناس ومن أسخط الناس برضا الله رضي الله عنه وأرضى عنه الناس. Whoever seek the pleasure of the others, by making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be angry with him and is going to make everyone angry with him. And whoever seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by making the others, angry of him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be pleased to him, and make everyone pleased to him. Yes?
The ayah you mentioned about worrying, whoever's concerned about their kids to have taqwa and say, qawlan sadida. What's the relationship or link between worrying about concern for kids and qawlan sadida? Like, why that specifically? What's the connection?
You have direct connection and indirect connection. The direct one, this is the way I look at the children, They are quite smart. They know how to speak and how you adapt some of those talks that you speak about your life, and some they are ignored, from your side, and they are going to be as such, they are going to understand the tricky way of it, and just you speak about your love, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you meet with the Muslim, but it's not a matter, of practicing it. It's not a bad matter of crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a matter, of having night prayer. Just speak with it, among the Muslim people, and that's it, Whereas other matters, they will see you how you are concerned about it. When they have stocks, in the market, when they are stuck with something, when they have something, and how do you speak up, about it, and how you spend significant amount of your time, fixing these matters, they are going to understand very well. Okay, so that's why those who are held, in the truthful people, they are going to be as truthful as these people, Those who are held, by fake people, they may learn from them the hypocrisy, and how to be fake, in this life. And when you say Sadatun al-Bayt radiyallahu anhum, the Prophet ﷺ used to fix in them, from the early age, the spiritual look. One time, I think I mentioned it before, I would love to mention it too frequently. The Prophet ﷺ entered the house of Sayyidina Fatima, and Sayyidina al-Hasan and al-Hussein, they were wrestling there. And the Prophet ﷺ started saying, hey Hassan, okay? And Sayyidina Fatima felt a little bit bad, and said, it sounded, Ya Rasulullah, as if you love him much more than Hussein. He said, no, Jibreel says, hey Hussein, hey Hussein. What do you expect about these minors, They heard what their grandfather say about Sayyidina Jibreel say, hey Hussein, and about the Prophet say, hey Hassan. What benefit I get from it? I get a benefit that the Prophet ﷺ used to raise up his children, by connecting them, to the spiritual matter. And this was all of their life, Sayyidina al-Hasan, when he got an adult, and he used to get some money, from the government, and the governor apparently in one year, he forgot, to send the money to Sayyidina al-Hasan, and Sayyidina al-Hasan was about to write to him a letter, and he dreamt about the Prophet ﷺ telling him, "Ya Hassan, you are going to write a letter, to a creation like you? Where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" You see, even in the dream, the Prophet ﷺ wants to remind, his people, his family, that don't do it in this way, in this silly way. Do it in the spiritual way. When I want to take it, to everyone practice, be honest with yourself. Don't say, "I am good Muslim," when you are not that good. Okay? I'm not telling you, to show your son. Be careful. Don't show your children your deficiency. All of us, we are deficient. We should hide some of these deficiencies. But we should work hard, to improve ourselves. Especially when I come to US or UK, you have many people, they complain about their children. And I know why they complain about this. And I feel the problem there, and I am myself, I'm a warrior, real warrior, about those youth, in such countries, But one of the way, I'm not going to tell you, this is everything, you have many factors plays a role there, and one of the factor, your son or your child is going to look at you and judge many of his activities in his life, according to your look, How much you are interested in prayer. How angry you are, when you miss the prayer, Whereas, how much you are interested about the stocks, And how angry you are when you lose the money, in the stocks, Or in the car, or in the house, or whatever, These are, I think these children, they are quite smart, And they are going to understand the trick, very well, And that's why I would like from myself, I would like from the other to show some honesty, some truthful, actions, from our side, to learn our children. We are in very bad position, I cannot deny it, It's not that simple, but this is just to give you an idea about it. Other questions?
And you said there's an indirect way?
The indirect way, as mentioned in the Holy Qur'an, okay, when we are straight with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make everyone work for you. This is what I mean by confidence, okay? We read in Qur'an, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. I don't think any of the audience, they have any doubt, about it, because this is piece of the Qur'an. But to be honest with you, perhaps I'm the first one, Many of us in our practice, they sounded as if they are not that confident, about this verse. Okay? I haven't seen in all of my life, a person, that he has miserable life or difficult life, and is going to make taqwa to get provision from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from non-expected way, I haven't seen anyone. Okay. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Okay. I don't expect anyone, of the audience, or the others, without having a lot of problems, a lot of concern, a lot of that. So when you have complete reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is enough for you. One famous scholar, what did he say? As long as you have your provision from the expected side that you expect, be sure you are not muttaqi. When you are real muttaqi, you are going to have it from the unexpected, side. It's going to come from something that even you may not have an explanation for it. You see, and for me, really, it means a lot, And for me, it sounds that this is, when I spoke this morning, about building your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's have this as a building relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, about confidence. Again, I'm not going to tell you this by my naked eye, you know. The first previous one, rahimahullah, was by my naked eye. But this I've heard about it, you know. Shaykh Salim Musuti, he used to have 4 houses, you know, back in Damascus, you know, because he got married to 4 women, and he will not leave even 1 coin with him, you know, to spend the night, you know. He's going to spend all of his money, you know, before going to bed. One day, and this for me sound like a crazy one, you know, okay? One day, he was in the mosque, and he found a poor person, you know, that need, let's say, galabiya, okay? What did he do? He went behind the pulpit, you know, they used to have large pulpit, you know, or whatever, you know. He went behind the pulpit, he took the coat that they have outside, and he went the coat, he took it out, he took the gallabi, he gave it to that poor person, and had the coat on the inner, you know, the underwear or whatever, you know. He put the coat, you know, and returned back home. With what? With quite confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he reached home, his son told him, "Oh Dad, you have so and so brought you 9 clothes." He said, "No." What did he say, Shaykh Salim? See how confident he is in that. He said, "No, there are 10, and you say that you have chosen one of them. Don't lie, you know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of experience, you know. I'm not going to have experience, other experiment, you know, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, there are 10, you know, and you took one. I'm going to give you this one, you know, but don't lie. Don't say there are 9, there are 10. You see how confident is this person? Can I be as such, you know, when I'm going to tell my son, you know, you are liar, you know, and there are 10? See, he was quite confident in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And perhaps this is what we need. Yani we read it in Qur'an. Should we practice it or not? We read it in Qur'an. قال أصحاب موسى إنا لمدركون قال كلا. You imagine the position? What position is this? There are few weak people, you know, not well equipped, you know, and they are seized, you know, by a large number of people, well equipped, you know, army, and to kill all of them. And those people, you know, who are frightened, you know, they said, we are going to be reached, you know, by these people and killed. Sayyidina Musa, what did they say? Kalla, no way. No way. And when they comment, you know, when they interpret the Qur'an, you know, explain it to me, you know. They said, the interpreters, you know, of the Qur'an, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِهَا فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهَا. Okay? Have you seen any mother, you know, put her baby, you know, in a box and throw him in the ocean or in the river or whatever of that regard? Yani here it's impossible to be done by the mother of Sayyidina Musa if she did not have something strong, you know, driving her to do so. Okay? And this is the relation of Allah. She was not a prophet. In our opinion, she was not a prophet. When they spoke about Sayyidina Musa, قَالَ كَلَّا, he was a prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam. But the mother of his, she was not a prophet. You know. And here, I cannot imagine that some woman, some mother, you know, she is going to put her baby, you know, in a box, you know, wooden box, you know, and throw him, you know, in the ocean, you know, or the river. You know. Here, we look at them as stories. They are not stories, you know. This should be, we should understand them very well. We should practice. We should apply them to our life, you know, and you name it. And if we did not take from this text, you know, blessed text, you know, except to build our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think it's more than enough for us. No more questions? Okay. One more question. Okay, sorry about that.
When giving zakat, should a person consider the background of the receiver, i.e. irresponsible, will not spend money wisely?
Here we have two components. We have the validity of it. Is this zakah valid or not? And we have the, again, the indirect, effect of it. The validity of it, regardless, is going to be valid. No doubt about it, okay? Whatever you give is going to be valid. As a practical point, and this has been practiced by someone, whenever you feel that that person may waste the money or whatever, I know about some people in Syria, they are going to buy some merchandise, some items, to be put in that particular house, not to be wasted by that person, okay? And this is according to Hanafi mazhab, it's accepted to do as such, to buy some merchandise, to buy some items, and bring it to the home, to let the family of that person eat, and bring some food, bring some oil, some rice, some other things, of those important, items for feeding the family, and don't bring, just money, because this money may be gone easily, in some malpractices, of some people. The heavy smoker, the one who gamble a lot, the one who drink wine or whatever, they may waste a significant amount of this money, by his malpractice, That's why I know about some people that they are going to bring some items or merchandise, not to bring, money or currency. Other questions? Yes? Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. Put your voice up.
Can you please clarify between confidence in Allah and reliance in Allah?
The difference between confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. This tough question. From where did you get, this question, Ya Osman? Okay. I think confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be built, on the past. When you look to your past, you are going to be fully confident in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Trust what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do. Reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever you initiate any work for the future, even though you are going to be asked, to do it perfectly, you are going to rely completely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the result of these matters. They may overlap with each other, but for sure there is some specialty for some of them, Here, I give you an example about it. I hate to hear this, even though this has been mentioned by someone, they may condemn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of this disaster or flooding or earthquake or this or that, Here, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did say, لا تتهم الله على نفسك. Don't ever, accuse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for yourself. And this is, I look at it as confidence, And whenever you have anything take place, you should be confident in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is going to work for you even. And this is here, you don't look at, I see reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should take place whenever you are going to have something as your own action, to act, in this regard. Whereas here, when you have something come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of disaster or something good or something bad or disease or whatever, here you are not going to act, and the reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't see the room for it, significantly, but you should be confident in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to do for you what is the best for you. Thank you for this question. It's a tough question, I'm sorry I did not answer it the way it should be answered. Other questions? Okay. أيها الولد خلاصة العلم أن تعلم العبادة والطاعة ما هي. اعلم أن الطاعة والعبادة متابعة الشارع في الأوامر والنواهي بالقول والفعل، يعني كل ما تقول وتفعل وتترك يكون باقتداء الشرع، كما لو صمت يوم العيد وأيام التشريق تكون عاصية أو صليت في ثوب مغصوب وإن كانت صورة عبادة تأثم.
O child, the quintessence of knowledge is that you realize what obedience and worship are all about. Know that obedience and worship consist in following the law and its orders and prohibitions in word and deed. Everything you say or do or refrain from saying or doing is in compliance with the law. For example, you would be disobedient if you observed fast on Eid day in the 3 days following the sacrifice during the pilgrimage. Or if you were to pray in a garment that you have obtained by illegal means, even if your action is some form of worship, you are committing a sin.
This is very important point, you know. You may take it from the easy way that whenever you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not according to your instruction. Whether you love something, you know, or you have good experience, let's say with yoga or whatever, you know, you cannot consider this as part of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Why? Because we don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except by the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated to us. Okay? When we want to broaden this matter, you know, because I have a problem with it, okay? Really, I have a problem. Even among the Sufi people, they are going to dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whatever they like. I don't look at it as, you know, as good relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you have a person, you know, met with very great sheikh, okay, he's going to swear by Allah, this is the Qutb al-Ghaus of that time. How come you are dictating on Allah that this is the Qutb al-Ghaus? Who did tell you this? So, because I love him a lot. Because I haven't seen in my life anyone similar to him. Because when he gives dars, you know, everyone, you know, is going to be very great. Are these the items, you know, to scale Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according? You are going to dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, لو عذبني الله وابن مريم ما ظلمنا شيئا. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to punish me, the Prophet ﷺ speaking, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to punish me and Isa ibn Maryam, he will not be unjust to us. Okay? You see the difference between what did the Prophet ﷺ say and what I hear the people, you know, the Sufi people, they say nowadays. For me, I feel bad, you know, because I feel many of them, they dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know if I have time, you know, to speak about this point. Okay. When I was raised up, I love the Prophet ﷺ a lot. And part of my love to the Prophet ﷺ, that his parents quite sure they are in the heaven. Okay? Then I figure out that this is dictation on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the chance to protect the parents of the Prophet ﷺ by sending me to hellfire, this is my pleasure to go there, okay? But I'm not going to dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And out of my surprise, the Prophet ﷺ was asked this question. He said, what's about your parents? What did he answer? He said, ما سألتهما ربي فيطيعني فيهن وأنا ماذا قائم المقام. I haven't asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about them, you know, but yet I'm in the maqam al-mahmud in that particular day. You see how great, you know, how absolute, how he wants you to feel and think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how some people, you know, they just dictate on Allah, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not free in his will. He's going to go according to my will. My will is so and so, I'm going to dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have this, you know. You see the difference? Feel the difference? He said, ما سألته بربي. I haven't asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in that particular day, I'm in maqam al-mahmud. You see You see, and this is really, I see it in the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I give you example about it. More than one example. One example, you see that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his time, he asked some companion, ask whatever you want to ask. Sal hajatak, sal ma badalak. Have you read this or heard it? Okay. The second question. Have you heard that the Prophet ﷺ said so to Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq? I never heard this. Why? Because the relation between Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Rasulullah ﷺ way down, or it's much more dear? It's much more dear. I had to give this physical example, but when someone, brought you, 1 kilo of sugar, what you are going to respond right away? How much did you pay for it? I'm going to pay you back, When your son brings this 1 kilo of sugar, are you going to have the same behavior? You may have it sometimes, but in many times you may not have it, okay? And here, when you have high sophisticated, relation with someone, it's going to be above those matters. One day, a famous companion, Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he was described by the Prophet ﷺ that anything he make dua is going to be accepted from Allah, right? You know it? Mustajab al-da'wah. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, mustajab al-da'wah. Once he went to Mecca to make Umrah. What do the Meccan people they do? They have long queue, one after another, to ask Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, make dua. I need some money, make dua. I need a child, make dua. All of these people, they have a lot, of needs, in their mind, and they seek the dua from Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Then a smart person of the Meccan people, young person, what did he say? Uncle, how come you make dua to all of these people and you hardly see anything, In our time he needs eyeglasses, okay? You hardly see anything, How come? How come you did not make dua for yourself? What did Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas answer? He said, listen, my nephew, whatever is most beloved to Allah is the most beloved to me. Okay? I love what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. I'm not going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take away, the weakness in my sight or this or that. You got this point, Here you have many of those practitioners of our people, who declare that they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they love the Prophet, they love this. I'm sorry to tell you, this is the feeling I explain, by. It sounded for me sometimes that they dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please, 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 all of your people, don't dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the absolute, okay? For that particular sheikh, okay, rather than saying that is the Qutb al-Ghaws, what you may say, this is the most beneficial person ever for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to blame you for this, because you are speaking about your experience. When you said this is al-Qutb al-Ghaws, what did you say? You spoke in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behalf. You see the difference? Once you speak from your behalf, the other, you speak from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behalf. Okay? When we say that I love the parents of the Prophet ﷺ, I would like to sacrifice myself, for them, you are speaking from your side. When you say they are going to be in heaven, you are dictating on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are going to be in heaven. You got that, my point? It's very sensitive one. It's very delicate one, I observe in my life a lot of malpractice of it, and to be honest with you, I don't like it. Okay? Be careful, especially when you speak about Allah subhanahu. Okay? No trick, no joke, no kidding. Okay? You are inna sam'a wal basar wal fu'ad kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. And we have a lot of malpractice among the Sufi and amongst the Salaf, in this regard, which I don't like, both of them, to have this mal practice, toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Other questions? Yes.
Speaking of dictating on Allah, a big issue that comes up a lot of times is about non-Muslims. Can they go to heaven, or if they haven't heard about Islam? This is an often asked question. What do you think is the best answer for that?
I think I answered this question this morning, You have some duties, they are connected to you. When you have the non-Muslim, are you going to pray Salat Janazah on him? Are you going to bury him, in the cemetery of the Muslim? Are you going to let him, get married to your daughter? No. Why? Because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed me to do. On the other hand, am I going to say he's in hellfire? I don't know, I don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best, This is not my business. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matter, okay? Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before the revelation of Surah Al-Fatih, he used to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam before, وَأَنَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ لَا أَدْرِي مَاذَا يُفْعَلُ بِهِ. Even though I am the messenger of Allah, I don't know what's going to happen to me. This is before the revelation, of Surah Al-Fatih. Alhamdulillah, I'm quite happy now because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did tell us, what's going to happen to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. You see, you have special quotation, In one side in the Qur'an, it was condemned. And in other side, it was praised. Is this controversy, in the Quran? No. Because it was condemned when it was said without knowledge given to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was praised when you say it according to the knowledge given you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ لَيْسَتِ النَّصَارَى عَلَى شَيْءٍ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى لَيْسَتِ لَهُ شُعَيْرٌ وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ. Okay? Why it was condemned? Because both of them, they had this statement without being given a knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in another place, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ لَسْتُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ حَتَّى تُقِيمُوا. Same wording. لَسْتُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ حَتَّى. How come we say this? Because we say it in behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say it according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see the difference? Here, what I'm trying to say, wherever you want to speak, wherever you want to behave, wherever you want to act, if you act and speak according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed you, no one has the authority, to blame you. When you have it otherwise, you may have someone blaming you. Other questions? Should we have a break now?
Yes, inshallah, we'll have a break. Just a short break. It's 4:16 now, so we convene inshallah at 4:25. Okay.